Hi, I'm Sid Smith from DailyHypervisor.com, and today in this tutorial we're going to cover how to create relational drop-down boxes so that based on a choice that's selected at request time, we can populate additional boxes with relevant items based on the choices that were made. We're going to do this using the property dictionary. So if we go over to Enterprise Administrators and go to Property Dictionary, the first thing we need to do is create a couple of different drop-down control boxes. So let's go ahead and create property definition. I'm actually going to call this one data center. So in this example, based on the data center that's chosen, we're going to control what happens in some other drop-down boxes. So I'm going to make this display name select data center, and I'm going to choose the control type of drop-down list. I'm going to make it required. We're going to save that. From there, we want to go ahead and actually edit our list and add a property attribute to it. And we want to add a property attribute of type value list. Just going to give it a name of values. And these are, when they go into select the data center, these are going to be the choices they have to choose from. I'm going to give them Boston, New York, and Dallas. I'm going to go ahead and save that. We're going to say OK. Now what this is going to do for us, if we place this property on a blueprint, it's going to provide them with a drop-down list where they can select those choices. And let's actually go ahead and do that right now. So if we go into Global Blueprints, I'm actually going to open it up in a new tab here. And we select our blueprint. We go to Properties and we add that new property data center. Remember, these are case sensitive. And we want to prompt the user. Go ahead and say OK. Now if I go to open this up in a new tab, request a machine, I want to request that blueprint. What I'm going to see is select data center with the three choices that we just populated in there. Now if we go back to our property dictionary, we actually want to create a couple more property definitions. First one is going to, the next one's going to be actually the VMware virtual center folder. So depending on what data center they choose, we're going to create a relationship so that it only displays certain folders that they can place their VMs in. So I'm actually going to call this vCenter folder, and this is also going to be a drop-down list, and it is going to be required. Now if we go in and edit the property attributes, and we're going to add two different types of property attributes to this. The first one is going to be type relationship, and I'm just going to give it the name of parent, because we're actually defining the parent item, which is going to be the data center. The next one is going to be a value expression. I'm just going to call it expression. And the value that we have to put in here is defined in an XML file that you have to create. So if you look at the XML file, what we're actually doing here, I've got one prepared, is we're defining different property values with filter names and values assigned. So if we look here, our filter name is data center, which is our primary property or primary drop-down that's going to trigger a relationship to our folder list. And based on the value selected here, which is going to be, if they select the Boston data center, the value that they have to choose from is going to be this folder, IT/Boston. Then we're going to do the same thing for each one. Now this example is going to present one item in the drop-down for each choice. I can do multiples, and we're going to do that in our second one. So here, data center, if they choose New York, it's going to present them with the option of the IT New York folder. Now we can't populate it in here as displayed on the screen. We actually have to make sure there are no carriage returns and the such in the file. So I've actually prepared a file that needs to be how we need it. So if I go in and just copy this and paste that right in this value field, save that, and then we're going to go ahead and say OK. Now if I take this VMware.virtualcenter.folder property, we go back to our global blueprints. Let's edit our blueprint. Go to Properties, New Property, and we're going to do VMware.virtualcenter.folder, and we're going to prompt the user. I'm going to say OK. We go back to our machine request page and refresh this. Now we have two folders. If we look at the Virtual Center folder, when I click it, I don't get anything. But if I click over here and go to Boston, now I have IT Boston vCenter folder available. So we're going to go ahead and add one more property definition. Oh, I'm sorry. We're going to add one more, property definition. And this one we're actually going to call virtual machine.network0.name. And what this property does is it allows us to choose what network we want to place the machine on based on, in this example, based on what data center they're actually going to provision the machine to. So we're going to choose, name it select network, and it as well is going to be a drop-down list, and it is going to be required. So it's virtual machine.network0.name is our property. This is a reserved vCAC property, just as VMware.virtualcenter.folder is. So we're going to go in and edit some property attributes for this one as well. And much like our last one, we have to create a relationship to the parent. Now we could create a relationship to other items as well if we were to create additional property definitions. In this example, both of my sub boxes are going to be relationship to the data center, and the value of this is going to be data center, because that's the one we're basing it off of. And then we also have to create an additional value expression in this one as well, and we're just going to call it expression. And then, much like our last example, we have to define our XML file. Difference is here, each one of my different data center choices is going to present us with two choices. So here I have the filter name is data center. If they select Boston, they're going to get a Boston prod network. But they're also going to get, you see here, a Boston dev network. So we got data center Boston, Boston dev network. So for each one, here New York has a prod and a dev, and Dallas has prod and dev as well. So that means they're going to get two choices for each one that they select. And again, we need to make sure there's no carriage returns and things of that nature. So I've got that prepared already. And if I copy that, paste it in as my value. Save that. Say OK. Now if I take this property, just copy it. Let me go back to our blueprint. Go to Properties. Paste that value in. Prompt the user. Say OK. We go back to our machine request. We now have three. Folder, which doesn't display anything, network, which does not display anything. However, if I select Boston, I go into network, I now have the prod and dev, and I can also select the folder that I want to provision my machines into. So that's a brief example of how to create relational drop-downs in vCAC 5.1. One other thing that we will be covering soon is property layouts, which allows you to control the order of those properties. But check back soon. We'll have a tutorial up on that as well. For more information, visit dailyhypervisor.com, and thank you for watching.